What's up, guys? So sorry if I'm out of breath. This video that I'm about to do, I just recorded the whole thing. And I have a microphone on my camera and I didn't have it on. Yeah, it's on this time. But at the very end of the video, I'm like, did I turn the mic on? And I looked and I was like, oh my lord. Anyway, so I'm gonna try to do this again. So this is gonna be the first video on my lawn care channel. I've got a couple of other videos, but they're irrelevant to lawn care. But so I figured, what better video than to tell you my story and how I got started in lawn care and my passion behind it and all that. So it started probably when I was about 12 years old. I think it was around when I was 12. It was when I was pretty much old enough, because I'm a little guy. But it was when I was old enough to be able to hold a weed eater and push a mower and all that stuff. So I'll just say 12 years old. And so I would mow our house, and then when I got a little bit older, probably when I was about 13, 14, we had a little John Deere. I think it was a 36-inch John Deere. It was a zero turn, and so I would do that because my dad had a bunch of rent houses and stuff, and so when nobody was living in them, I'd go mow them. And then he has an apartment complex that I mow, and to this day I still mow them. And so I just love mowing, and he paid me $10 an hour. So it took me about an hour or two to do every yard, so about $10 to $15, 10 to 20. So it wasn't a whole lot of money, but I mean, for a 14-year-old, it was pretty good money. And I didn't own any of the equipment, and if it broke, it wasn't on me. I didn't have to fix it. He fixed it, and he paid for it and all that stuff. So you know, I was pretty happy because I never had anything else, so that was like my job, so I was happy with it. And anyway, so we moved into this house, and I mowed the yard. I push mowed it and weed eated it and edged it and blew it off and did the hedges. And I mean, not to be arrogant, but I was pretty good, and I'm pretty good at mowing, and so I was proud of it and all that. And so he would pay me $20 every time. So I was like, okay. And so I was 14 at this time, and then so the next door neighbor, while I was mowing, he came over. He's like, hey man, you do really good on the yard and all that stuff. He said, you're the only one that mows it? And I was like, yeah. And he said, well, how old are you? I said, I'm 14, sir. And he was like, wow. He said, you do a really good job. And we had a really pretty yard too, so that helped. And he said, well, I'll tell you what. He said, I'll pay you $30 to come mow my yard. And I was like, he said, does that sound good? I was like, yeah. I said, let's go look at it. I said, so I can see where I need to mow and what you want mowed and all that stuff. So we went over and agreed on $30. And so he said, well, I'm leaving for vacation. He said, so here. He hands me $30, and he said, just, you know, get it mowed. He said, today. He said, if you've got time, he said, go ahead and do it today. He said, I'll be back next week. He said, I usually mow it, but I'm going to be away, and I don't have time to mow it right now. And so he said, if you would, just go ahead and do it. And I was like, all right. And so he left, and I got it mowed, and I'll make sure that I did a really good job. And when he got back, he came over and said, man, it looks really good. Thank you so much. He said, if I'm ever out of town or ever don't feel like mowing, he said, you know, give me your number so I can call you. And I was like, okay. And so I mowed it, you know, maybe 2 or 3 more times. He was usually home and usually liked to do it. So it was no big deal. But I was like, I spent $30 on this, and it took me an hour. And I make $10 an hour mowing for my dad. So I got to thinking, I was like, all right. Anyways, and so that was kind of like my first thought. I was like, I could probably make pretty good money with this, but I ended up, you know, staying working for my dad and all that stuff, because I mean, I was 14, 15 at the time, so I mean, I didn't really care about, you know, making a whole lot of money at the time. I was, because I was like a young entrepreneur and always wanted money and wanted to start a business and stuff, but I didn't have a truck, so I was kind of limited to my, you know, area and neighborhood, what I could walk to. And anyway, so, and I had a job working for my dad, and so I just kind of blew it off. Well, so fast forward to when I was 16, and so I was scrolling through YouTube. I was still mowing at the time and mowing for my dad, and then I would have a couple of people that would kind of ask me to come mow their house, and I mean, I'd charge, 30, $40. Like, I wouldn't charge a whole lot, just because, it didn't really cost me anything because I was using my dad's equipment. And so, anyways, all it cost me is gas. And so I was scrolling through YouTube one day, and I seen this guy named Blake Albertson, B&B Lawn Care. And Blake, if you're ever watching this video, dude, I'm a huge fan, and hopefully I'll get to meet you at the GIE Expo sometime. But hopefully I get to go one day, one of these years. But dude, huge fan. You're a huge inspiration of me starting my lawn care business. And so I'm scrolling through and I'm watching these videos, and he's like, he's fun to watch. And so I'm watching him, and I'm like, this dude's making pretty good money off lawn care. I'm like, I'm making a whole lot more than I'm making off these yards. And so, I'm researching more, and I'm watching other people and looking it up. I'm like, this makes good money. And I was like, I can do it too, because I've got the equipment. And at this time we had gotten a grasshopper, and so like a big deck grasshopper and all that stuff. And so I was like, I could go mow places and make good money. And so that's when I was like, I'm going to start a lawn care business. And I was like, that's weird. And so anyways, I started researching Blake more, and just watching his videos and stuff, and just kind of learning stuff from him. And I spent this, when I wanted to start my lawn care business, it was in the middle of winter. And so I live in Texas, so no snow. All you can really do is leaf cleanups, and if a storm comes, you can do tree cleanup and stuff like that. But there was nothing really I could do because I couldn't mow. And so I spent the whole winter researching and stuff. And so in the spring is when I started my lawn care company. And so I was very, very, very fortunate because my dad let me use his equipment because he has a bunch of properties. So we had, pretty good equipment, steel weed eater and a grasshopper. And then we had a John Deere, but I never really used that because the deck's been on it. And I don't know. I can't really remember starting. I can remember starting, but it just kind of all just happened quick. My dad's got a lot of friends, and so he kind of told them, friends that are landlords and have rental properties, and so I would mow for them. And so my first summer, when I was 16, I had, including my dad's properties, I think I had 30 properties. So I was doing really, really, really good. I was working my butt off and getting at it and chasing after it and all that stuff. And I was 16, was horrible at managing my money. I had all this money. I was spending it, buying everybody's food when I would go out to eat, buying all this stuff, buying games and doing all this stuff, spending my money like no other, because I was making a lot of money. Because if you average an average yard, I was making $50 to $60. So if you imagine times 30, I was doing really well. Which my dad's properties, I make still that $10 an hour rate, just because I use his equipment and all that stuff. And I make money mowing his properties, and I get to use his equipment. So it's really a win-win. And so I'm 16, young, dumb, and rich would be the term. But the one thing, and if you take anything out of this video, and I'll probably make another video out of it, take one thing from this video: maintenance your equipment. Because here's the thing, is you can go ahead and kiss your lawn care business goodbye if you don't maintenance your equipment, because it will go to crap. And it'll go to crap like that. So I have a grasshopper, a diesel grasshopper, huge mower, nice mower. I didn't do a bit of maintenance to it. I didn't change air filters. I didn't check the oil. I didn't, it's got coolant in it that you got to put in it. You've got to clean where the belts are that turn the blades. All the stuff that I know now that I never would have thought about. And my dad told me and my grandpa told me, but I was like, y'all bullcrap. I ain't gonna do this stuff. I'm making a lot of money. And just being dumb 16-year-old. and I'm pretty stubborn, so I didn't listen, and didn't grease it, didn't do anything to this mower but mow constantly. And so I take it into the shop. I don't have any money, and so my dad agrees to pay for it. You know, I can kind of pay him off and mow and do some stuff for him to pay him back. So I took it to the shop. It was $500. That's a lot of money to be spending when you don't have any money. And so luckily I have my dad, and I'm in an extremely fortunate place to have my dad there to help me do this stuff, you know, and get along. But I did that, got it fixed, and then the shop that I used, I'm not going to say any names, but they really did me dirty because I was a kid, and I guess they took me as a stupid kid, which I was dumb, but I wasn't stupid. Like, there's a difference. Like, I wasn't, like, I was dumb and wouldn't listen, but I also wasn't stupid, and I knew that I was getting cheated and stuff. And so they never fixed it. They like fixed it, but it was never really fixed. So took it back. Then all this other stuff's wrong with it. Ended up being $1,000 after that. So $1,500 at this point. And then I finally I was just like, I'm done with this. And they fixed a lot of it, but I took it to another shop, K&G Mowers, and I will mention them because they did me really good. And they fixed it, and all this stuff cost me maybe $200, including, that was the parts included. And so got me running and all that stuff. And then the other place that fixed my mower tried to send me another $500 payment, and ended up, I got that cleared up, but all that. So basically I had no money at the end of the summer. I was filthy, like freaking broke, like had no money. And even if I would have saved every dime that I made, I would have spent it all, you know, back to the shop, because I didn't make, oh, I guess I made more than that, but I did horrible my very, very first season. So after that I learned, hey, you gotta maintenance your equipment. And here's the thing, even if you have to take a day that you don't schedule any mowing or anything, and that's when you maintenance your equipment, do it. Even if you take a whole day off, do it. It's worth it, because you'll end up spending thousands of dollars paying for stuff on your mower that could have been, you know, prevented. So that's my story, and as you watch my channel, you'll start to see more of the future and present, what I'm doing now. But that's just how I got started in lawn care. This video is already 13 minutes and about 2 seconds, so I'm going to cut it off right here. Like, subscribe. I'm going to be doing interviews and product reviews and different stuff that I've learned from having a lawn care business in the last 2 years. And I don't know everything, and I don't claim to, because here's the thing is, I learned from somebody on YouTube, learned a lot of stuff, just like inspiration wise, but I knew a lot of stuff about lawn care. But there's definitely people where I live that are kicking my butt in lawn care, that have, you know, over hundreds of yards that, you know, I'm not there. Like right now, because I just graduated this last year, so I kind of put lawn care to the side a little bit and like focused on graduating and having fun this last summer. So I think I had about 15 yards. I didn't have anything too crazy. You know, and Dad didn't have a lot of rental properties this summer and all that, so I had enough to keep me going, but nothing too crazy this summer. But anyways, guys, like, subscribe, comment. I'll leave my email down in the description. If you need anything or have any questions, hit me up. If you want to do an interview, just let me know, and I'll send you the questions and we can talk through it. But alright guys, see you next time. Bye.